3T is an editing question asking how a sentence should be changed. I'm going to walk you through how I would answer a question like this, and I want you to answer the questions on page 4 on your own before checking that video. So how should sentence 4 be changed? I have 4 options right here, and one of those options is that sentence 4 should not be changed. Most of your editing questions are going to have that option, so be careful about it and make sure that if you choose it, that you are 100% sure that A, B, and C are incorrect. So to answer this question, I have to go up to sentence 4. I'm going to read it, and the first time I read it, I'm just going to see if anything jumps out at me as being absolutely obviously wrong based on an editing rule. We are great friends, so I was ecstatic to be returning to camp for another fun summer together. So nothing is jumping out at my eye, but one thing that I always do is if I see a contraction in an editing passage, I'm going to go ahead and write it completely out and make sure that it makes sense. So we were great friends, so I was ecstatic to be returning to camp for another fun summer together. So that sounds fine. I don't think that's the problem. The other thing that I pay attention to in my first read of an editing question is any commas that are being used, and do I know the rule for why that comma is there? So we're great friends, comma, so I was ecstatic to be returning to camp for another fun summer together. I know that so is one of those fanboy conjunctions, and I know that if I have 2 independent clauses, we are great friends, and I was ecstatic to be returning to camp for another fun summer together, that I would need a comma and that conjunction. So I don't see anything that is obviously wrong in this sentence. So I'm going to go look at my answer choices and see if there's something there that can help direct me. So delete so. All right, if I delete so, I'm going to go back up. If I take so out of this, what happens to this sentence? We're great friends. I was ecstatic to be returning to camp for another fun summer together. Well, I know that you can't do that because if I delete that fanboy's conjunction right there, I would be creating a comma splice. That is, when I combine 2 independent clauses with a comma but without a coordinating conjunction. That's one of your fanboys. So I'm going to eliminate A because it looks wrong when I do it, and I happen to know the rule about why you can't do it. So option B, change was to am. All right, I'm going to go back up and I need to find the was. We're great friends, so I was ecstatic to be returning to camp for another fun summer together. So option B is suggesting that I change that to am. Now I know that am is present tense, and if I change that to a present tense verb, I would need to have evidence that there are other present tense verbs in this paragraph or selection. So if all I see are past tense verbs, then I know the whole passage needs to be past tense. I'll start with 3. Every summer for the past 5 years, we've been camping. Been camp bunkmates. So we have been camp bunkmates. We were great friends, so I was ecstatic to be returning to camp for another fun summer together. You can imagine my shock when I got, that's past tense, to the registration table and discovered that I had been assigned to bunk with Caitlin. How could anyone seriously expect me and Caitlin to bunk together? If Carmen and I were like 2 peas in pods, and I've read enough at this point to realize that I'm dealing with the past tense, so I can't change my sentence to am, because if I do that, I would be creating an inconsistent verb tense. So I'm going to eliminate B, because that would be an inconsistent tense throughout the passage. Remember that with an editing question, you can only make, with the answer you choose, that one change. You don't make that change and whatever else needs to be changed. So if that change, like this one in B, creates inconsistent verb tense, you eliminate that answer choice. All right, so now I have change ecstatic to ecstatic. Now, this is an unfamiliar word, but I know that I have a resource during the STAR test, the EOC test, that I can pull out at any time. So any time I am offered the chance to check a spelling, I'm going to use the dictionary and do that. And when I do that, what I find out is that there's no entry for the word aesthetic. But if I look up ECSTATIC, I realize that this is a word, and therefore answer choice C must be my answer. Now I want you to turn the page and go to page 4, and I think there are 3 editing questions there. The process is not going to be the exact same as what I did because it's going to be testing different skills, but going back to the sentence and checking each idea and looking at what happens when you make that change is something that you'll need to do for each of those answer choices. So make sure that you annotate your passage and then come back and watch the video for page 4.